What have we got?
White female dumped in plain sight. I'll bet a month's salary this is a copycat.
4 women, all murdered, all put on display, all with messages.
The Examiner received a new letter today.
We got the wrong guy.
It was a hot night in Austin, Texas, and one man wanted to know the truth. A truth about a game. A game they said was the best game of the year. Were people full of shit? He'd get to the bottom of it. I just thought I'd set up the tone here. You know, this is noir, dark, hard-boiled.
That is... I was really, really hoping that the game, as soon as I booted it up, that it would start off right like that. And, of course, the first words when you play the game, the city.
Of course. City of dreams.
The case that makes you and the case that breaks you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A city on the verge of greatness. A new type of city, based not on the man, but on the automobile. The car. A symbol of freedom and vitality. Where every man can own his own home, and have room to breathe, and not be overlooked by his neighbors. A city where a man's home is his castle. A quarter acre of the dream made possible by victory.
Yeah, I think I was just doing my Scatman Crothers impression just a while ago. Hey,
What,
Prime.
you sound like Hong Kong Phooey?
Yeah. Hey, Prime. So,
Hey, Prime.
let's go, Prime. But, man, this has been getting a lot of talk, this game. It's been getting a lot of talk for the atmosphere of the game. It's been getting a lot of talk because of the company that has released it, Rockstar. And it's also been getting a lot of talk because of the technology that is involved, which a lot of people who kept up with this know that that this is a game where they say, oh, no. This is not just a game right here. This is a performance. This is art. This is the actor's game right here, because they have a new technology called motion scan, where characters are motion captured, their facial expressions are, rather, and that's important to the game because this is a game where you play a detective and you got to go around and question people, and you got to look at people's faces very carefully to see if they're lying or if they're telling the truth. Now, I didn't play a whole lot of the game because we had a big shakeup at the company recently, and they just kept me busy. But am I telling the truth myself so far?
I don't know. I played through the whole game and I fucked up every interrogation.
Can I press doubt at this part?
Yeah, my eyes kind of shifted a little bit when I was talking about it. Am I telling the truth? Am I not?
Coleman, I know you're holding back on me. Don't make me take you down to the station.
Telling you, man, I couldn't play it, okay? No,
Is it because he's a darkie?
Yeah.
Oh, no, wait. They called them Negroes. That's
man. See, this game takes place in 1947. Let me just set up the story here. It's 1947, and you play a detective, Detective Phelps, and you start out the game as a beat cop. And you're dedicated, you're motivated, you're smart, and most of all, you're tough. You're a World War II vet. And so it's only a matter of time before you start to rise in ranks as the game progresses. And now we're talking about 1947 here. And I always get a little nervous about these kind of period pieces in video games because I was like, you know what? It's only a matter of time for this video game calls me a nigger, and I'm gonna end up punching my TV. And they did have to. I heard that they did have to go in and remove some of this because I know what they were trying to do. They were trying to be realistic to the time, and so they talked to a bunch of Negroes in this movie. But at one time, I heard that some of them at least were, hey, catch that nigga over there. You know, he's guilty. He's running. You know, so I think they had a black guy. And serious, I'm not lying about this. So they had a black guy who was like doing some of the testing for this, and he's like, oh hell no, this got to go.
No, a black guy was testing the game. According to L.A. Noire, the only jobs they can have are working at the train yard, being jazz musicians, or taking morphine. That's it.
Well, the guy
I think all the black people in this game were jazz musicians.
Yeah,
well,
pretty much.
I don't want to tell you anything, but we are all secretly jazz musicians. I keep a saxophone in my pocket every time I go around. You know, I'm joined here, people, by Professor Jeff. Hello, Professor Jeff.
What's buzzing, cousin?
Are you really a professor? Are you lying to me? And then we have Jason Murphy, the Murph.
Hey, what's going on?
How are you? And then we have Kevin Baird.
Calling from the moon. Yes.
Our tin can. And then we have Nicky Pooh over here, Nick Hodges. Nick Hodges, how you doing?
I'm doing all right, mate.
All right. You sure about that? Took a little bit of time to answer. Got something you want to tell me?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Just making sure. Now, as I said, I didn't get a whole lot of time to play this game because I just got extremely busy the last 2 weeks, and I probably got through just a little bit of the first couple of chapters. These guys, I think all of
Then you pretty much got the whole game.
Well, that's what I hear. There's, for all the talk about the game, I hear that there's some flaws that have finally come to surface now that everyone has played it. And I'm curious to hear your opinion of the game, to know whether these flaws took away greatly from the game, or if the game is so great that you could overlook those and, as some people are saying, probably see this as the game of the year. So one of the things that I heard about the game is that what you have to do is there's a series of steps with every chapter that we have here. You go in, you search for clues, you interrogate somebody, and eventually it leads up to an arrest. A lot of people say that could be a little redundant, but what do you guys think?
I absolutely loved it. I mean, I think it definitely goes up for Game of the Year because it pushes boundaries like no other game I've played before. It's definitely not an action game. Like an action scene in the game could be you just chasing a bloke down the street, and that's it. It's definitely a thinking man's game.
See, the thing is that adventure gaming in the United States is been very diminished. So when we do get an adventure game, there's a lot of praise for it, which is what this is. It's like Heavy Rain got a lot of praise for it, which really, to me, wasn't that good of a game. And here, it's like they're using some adventure gaming models with some really cool facial animations, but the world and the city you're in is also really boring because unlike GTA, where there's all sorts of stuff going on, basically you just drive around, from the one place to the next. And if you let, like we were saying, if you let your partner do it all, I don't know. It's just kind of like you're just interrogating people and asking questions. And I like the game, but I don't know if it's going to hold up Game of the Year. I mean, it's May right now. And by the time we get into the Christmas season later on, we're going to all be like barely remembering this game.
It would have been distracting though if you went to the horse race or went to a jazz club or anything. It's mainly about being a policeman.
It's so painfully linear. You really are doing the same thing over and over. And sure, it is kind of a sandbox game, but you don't really play around in that sandbox at all. You've got like 40 some odd street crimes you can go commit or you can go bust on the side.
It's the first time you're a good guy, mate.
But mostly you're just going place to place and just doing whatever the game tells you need to do next. So there's not a lot of variety. And really the whole thing of the game is the story. Because finding all the clues and getting the investigations right, that doesn't matter. You're still going to be able to finish the game. It just depends on how well you finish it, how well your ratings are. But you could go through that whole game and fuck everything up and still finish it.
You can just walk up and piss on a crime scene, ruin all evidence, and still like, hey, good job there, Phelps.
Yeah.
The chief of police will insult you and say you're a disappointment to the police force, and then the very next mission, he was saying, "Oh, you're such a great detective. I wish I had more like you."
Good job, Phelps.
I should have told him. I wish I would have been able to tell him. Oh, well, I wish I had more options where I could really fuck some shit up, and then you see something.
Hey, Jeff, what were you about to say?
Oh, I was just saying that I'm glad to hear you guys say that because everybody that I've heard has had such praise for this game. And I did find the world to be kind of empty to the point where, they spent so much time working on the individual environments and props and stuff that I kind of wondered why this wasn't just a set piece game. Why did you need an open world to drive around in? There really was. Yeah, I mean, you could have just set each individual crime in 4 or 5 different locations and spent, just hours and hours crafting those locations so they looked great. Instead, you've got this kind of open world and all the open world jankiness that comes along with that of kind of weird looking stuff going on all the time on the street. But
like the random people who they just say crazy shit like homeless people when they walk by you.
Yeah.
They're having a conversation and there's nobody there.
Yeah.
Just talking to themselves.
Yeah, no, seriously. They're walking by and they're like, "Oh, I've got to get that cake for Grandma. What do you think? Do you think we should get chocolate?" They're not talking to anyone.
Maybe there's a gas leak in the town and everybody's just kind of losing it or something. But, that's the thing about the game. I wondered how much this would affect a Rockstar game because this is Team Bondi that is the developer, but it's released by Rockstar. Rockstar is known for just letting you just go around and, as Jason says, just fuck up shit. I mean, you can just go around and
I wanted, because at the end of each story you get these ratings like meritorious or valorous or distinguished or whatever. I wanted to get something where it just put the stamp on
asshole
my review, and it was like a fucking danger to everyone.
I was actually watching a friend play the game who just drove everywhere and intentionally was trying to hit pedestrians. And he found every clue and answered every question right and got 1 star because he caused like $7,500 worth of property damage to LA and people.
Nice.
But of course, though, it's trying to be kind of, a wee bit realistic. You can't just go fucking up LA,
Yeah,
I don't care how much of a good cop you are.
So what you're telling me, you don't get to be a bad guy, like you don't occasionally get to like demand a freebie from a hooker every now and then, or you don't shoot the occasional black guy for just coming out at night. You don't get to do
that. To best describe it, your character's like Guy
him.
Pearce from LA Confidential. He's none of the other coppers like him because he's a goody two shoes and he's educated and he's just trying to make it to the top. So he hasn't got time for friends.
Which is weird because if there's ever a game for that black and white video game morality of like either you're an angel or Satan, it was the 1940s crime game,
Yeah.
Like, why couldn't we have options to either, to plant evidence on a suspect or shake him down? I know I'm kind of bitching about, why didn't they make the game I wanted them to make? But it just seemed like if you were going to have that, it would have been really easy to put in the game.
Well, I'm looking at it, I'm like, man, this is L.A. This should be like Duck Hunt with black people. You should just be able to shoot just all kind of black folks and just get away with it. Not that I'm advocating that. I know they couldn't do that, but I'm just saying, we're talking about realistic. But I know he's the good cop right here.
That's the expansion pack, Korey.
See, Corey's just bummed out that
Black
this is a
Hunt
training day where he could be Denzel Washington. And,
I did. I want to be like on top of a burning building at the end of the game. I'm the police. I run this piece. Yeah, get to do all that kind of shit. But I mean, the game, I have to say that I do love the atmosphere in it. I do love that, like, the score here is amazing, like the jazz score.
And the scores that they just, the songs that they licensed, pre-existing songs, they were all perfectly chosen.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of great atmosphere going on in this game. And I mean, I think the game probably gets more credit for what it's trying to do for its ambitiousness instead of like fully for its execution, because the thing that you have going on here, now one of the things that I kind of noticed with the game is that they're trying to be very cinematic with this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And at the beginning it is great opening credits, great score. I mean, your characters, their narrative arcs are cool, but at the same time, the narrative storytelling itself is kind of clumsy. Like that narrator we were talking about is like, yeah, baby, this is L.A. He just disappears.
Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah. You only hear him in like the beginning and the end, I think. Or if you even hear him in the end.
I can't say anything for the end.
You see him at the end. Yeah, I'm not going to spoil who it is, but he's a big character at the end of the game.
But he disappears for a while, right? I mean,
yeah. Like about 3 or 4 cases later.
Like he was smoking a joint. And he just
not cases, desks. Yeah.
He was smoking a joint. Just fucking fell asleep somewhere in the middle of the game. He just decided, hey man, get up! It's the end of the game. Oh, and that's the end of the story.
I think you're right, Korey. I really give a lot of respect to Rockstar and Team Bondi for doing this, because with Rockstar they could have just said, well, let's have Grand Theft Auto but set in the 1940s, but they didn't. They did make something really ambitious, and what it does well, it does really well, but it falls short on a lot of levels. And I genuinely enjoyed the game, but I liked it better when it was called Police Quest.
Well, let me ask you something. Like I said, I didn't get very far. Detective Phelps has a wife.
No, she doesn't. This is the only thing that pisses me off about the game. She's only at the beginning of the game, and then you see her once again towards the end of the game. And
don't spoil it.
I'm not going to say anything. I'm just saying that she's almost a pointless character, apart from bringing stupid drama, and that's it.
Oh yeah, yeah, and that's another one of the things is that the characters, I thought most of them were unlikable or boring. and especially when they needed to give you something to enjoy about them, like Phelps, they weren't fleshed out. He was just this stick up his ass dickwad.
And now some housekeeping. Warm Central Division welcome for Detective Cole Phelps. Some of you guys may know Phelps. He's the cop who broke the jewelry store murder. Stand up and take a bow, Phelps.
If it's all right with you, sir.
Order, Phelps.
Shh, quiet, everybody.
Phelps is one of only 2 serving LAPD officers who received the Silver Star during the war. Really gave it to those lousy Japanese, eh, Phelps?
I did my best, Captain.
Why are you war heroes always so modest? I've partnered Phelps with everybody's favorite Pole, Stefan Bukowski.
Hope you like work, kid. Bukowski sure as hell doesn't.
Well, that's why we have partners, right?
Okay, can it, guys?
And the only reason I sympathize for him is because I was playing him. That's all.
I thought the partners were way more interesting than Phelps were. All the partners from the different desks were just 100 times more engaging than Phelps.
Yeah, but they're very lazy coppers, though. You know, it's the 1940s. They'd rather be drinking whiskey and, I don't know, going to some jazz club and shagging some hooker. I mean, they're almost complaining. Like, with this one fat partner, he's like, you could drive to this one. It's like, oh, really? Because you've done anything fucking useful the whole case. You're driving, bitch. You be my chauffeur. That's all you're good for. You can't even shoot straight.
Just sit on your fat ass and talk shit to me all day. Get in the driver's seat, drive.
Yeah, that's what they do. He just insults you as you drive about how bad of a copper you are. You know, when he doesn't even give you any hints or like help you out in the case.
Tell you what, we're about to pull a driving Miss Daisy. Get your fucking ass on the driver's seat.
It's funny now that I think about it, how every one of your partners at some point or another is like, can we just not do this anymore? Like, I don't want to.
Just start whining? Can we just go get some ice cream? I don't want to do this anymore. I'm tired. Shut up.
And the graphics in most of it's really good. Unless it's a woman, because the women in this look like creatures from invaders from Mars.
Yeah, they're a little.
And they all look the same.
Well, it's the 40s, man. They all had the same kind of, haircut, so I can imagine why.
No, I dig that. Plastic? That's fine. But these women, no, they're freaky insectoid creatures, like they're going to mate with you and then eat your brain.
I know what you mean, man. Now, the actors themselves, like Aaron Staton, he's the guy from Mad Men that everybody's talking about in this game. Looking at him in the game, I mean, he really is performing. A lot of these actors are performing, and a cool game to play with this video game here is going through and seeing how many character actors that you notice. I mean, you're not going to know their names, but you're just going to be like, it's that fucking guy from that movie that I saw. Yeah. That's
Malachi from Children of the Corn. Greg Grunberg,
really?
The guy.
How the fuck did you notice that?
There was the copper from Heroes, I think.
Greg Grunberg.
Well.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, Malachi from Children of the Corn, Courtney Gaines.
That's
he was
funny,
like
man.
the peeping Tom at the high school.
Hey, you know what? We know a girl that went out with that guy.
Yeah.
Oh, you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah. Well, that's how I recognized him, because brought him to the Halloween party, and I was like, oh. There's that guy who wouldn't say Outlander when I asked him to.
He just looked at you like, yeah, I get that a lot.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not going to say that. I was like, God damn it.
No, not tonight. But while the performances, I think, are great, especially for a video game. I mean, it is a landmark video game as far as performances go, and I don't want to take that away from it. But, man, sometimes it looks scary. These people, because their faces will look real, but their bodies and heads will look like mannequins or puppets. And it's just, they look like possessed inanimate objects. And I mean, I'm not trying to say that the technology, I know it's growing, but it kind of looks scary to me. And I would say that even for something like this, there was a tendency to where while the actors are giving some good performances, because you have to tell whether they're lying or not, some of it, not all of it, but some of it kind of, it's on the edge of overacting, Because I mean, really, there's some people where they kind of give it away that they're lying. I don't know if that's supposed to be an easy stage or not, but some guy will be like, I don't know, and then his eyes will go left to right like a ventriloquist dummy, and you're like, of course he's fucking lying. You know, just he could have a mustache and start twirling that shit. I mean, yeah,
but it's a game that's supposed to be overacting a little bit for those scenes. Otherwise, it's going to be too difficult. I mean, later on, it does get harder. But if they were all like realistic liars, then it wouldn't be fun at all.
Well, that's why I said it's for an early stage in the game. Apparently I didn't get to like the Shakespearean acting part of the game. So, Kevin, what have you got to say about this? You've been sitting back there quiet. What do you feel?
I really like the facial animations that these guys have. I mean, it's to the point now where I started playing something else, and now everything else looks like it's horrible. Like every other game has like a rubber face that's barely moving its mouth and everything in the games, and I'm thinking, great. Now this game's ruined me. I want this kind of facial animation in all games going forward. I can't have this fake crap anymore, unless it's like some Chinese import game or something.
They look so great.
Where you can't tell if they're lying or not anyway.
Right.
Donkey Kong just isn't giving the performance that I'm used to now. So
that might be a little scary.
Like he wants him to motion capture a real gorilla for Donkey Kong.
That would be awesome, actually.
Yeah, why not do that? That would be great. Come on.
I agree, man. Onward and upward. But so, what do you guys think about this game? I mean, 21 cases, some of them repetitive, some of them not. And I have to mention right now that it's not all just interrogation. It's not all just coming in and investigating clues. They do break it up in spots with shootouts. You have some car chases. There's some parts where you have to follow a criminal to get some information that you need. So they do break it up a little bit. And I got to play a couple of those action parts in it, and it's fun. But the emphasis is not on that because it's short. I mean, you can. There's a mode you can just skip all the action sequences and just play without them.
Yeah. If you fail
3 times, I think it lets you skip it.
Yeah,
I don't know. Some of those I was totally with it because there's some randomly interjected balancing things where you have to like walk across a tightrope, and it's so fucking annoying. It just keeps falling and falling. It's like I was literally holding the remote in one direction.
So you can die in this because I didn't die in any part. Okay, I guess if you die, you get it's game over, or if you fail to follow a person and capture them or whatever, then the mission is over.
Yeah. Should we talk about the different desks that you work your way upwards towards the game? Because you start off as a beat cop, and then it's traffic, I think, and homicide. I can't remember what was vice, and then there's finally
arson.
Arson at the end. Yeah.
Yeah, they actually cut 2 whole desks out of this game.
Which
they
desks?
had 2 more desks full of content. I don't know.
What are desks?
I don't know, but apparently once they got one, I mean, like you hear about games that, this game came on 3 DVDs on the Xbox, and apparently once they filled up 1 Blu-ray, they decided that was all that they were going to put there. This is all they're going to do, but they have tons more content.
Again, like we say, it's 21 chapters here, man. They're each over about a little bit over an hour long, so you get close to about 30 hours of gameplay in this. And so they got if they took out those desks or missions or whatever, then yeah, you're right. That could be like content that they can add on later. One of the things I should praise this game for, though, is that it sounds like we're sitting up here criticizing the facial expressions. I mean, no, it's incredible. I know that I brought up some gripes about it. I mean, really, because it is weird. I mean, the characters are so realistic. Don't get fooled, people. It's not like it's a real world that you're seeing now with like that looks like the Matrix or something. I mean, characters still do things in the early stages of video games that they do now. I mean, like one guy walked in the middle of the street and just started doing the robot. I didn't know
he was chasing down a couple of bad guys. And I was supposed to get out of the car and like have a gunfight with him. Instead, I was just like, well, fuck it. And I ran over him.
You did? Yeah. I was like, go ahead.
Underneath the wheels of my car, and my partner's still shooting at him.
That's a good partner. He needs to make sure he's dead.
And I'm like, you guys are dead, and you're still shooting at me? I had to walk over there, put them out of their misery, and then the level was done.
Well, the guy I had, it was like an old man too, walking across the street with some groceries, and he just started kind of forward moonwalking. And I was like, I didn't know they had breakdancers back in 1947. Okay, that guy's the inventor right there. He's the one that started it all. I was like, for all of the realism that we're talking about in the game, I don't want people to get disappointed, because I want you to know that it's not like this revolutionary thing with every aspect of the game or the motion captures, most of the faces. But with those faces, I got to give the game credit, because you have to really pay attention. So for those people who don't like cut scenes and they like to just get bored when there's a lot of talking, there's a lot of dialogue, like in role-playing games, like RPGs. So when the character's talking, put down the fucking soda, put down the chips, quit scratching your nuts, don't pick up the phone, start calling people. You got to pay attention, else you might lose the game, or at least lose out on that part of the game. So that's the game really does make you like be very, very in tune to what's happening. So
yeah, when it works, it works like no other game I've played. But unfortunately, there's just a lot of stuff around that's a little I don't know, a little outdated, I would say. Or it's so good in some places that it really like makes it glaringly obvious when it's not super great in other places.
I was about to say, you guys are nitpicking here,
Yeah, they really are. I mean,
this game is fucking awesome.
The game is really ambitious and it points brilliant, although it is not going to cure the mysterious rash that you have under your chin or whatever. It does not have the power to make the dead rise from the grave like people act. It's a good game, but we've played better this year even.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So all around, what would you guys, I'm not going to give a rating, of course, but what would you guys give the game?
I give it a high buy.
Buy it? Okay, high buy. Yeah, you'd buy the game, full price game. Okay.
I'd give it a rental because you can finish it in one renting and there's no need to ever play it again.
So we need to gamefly this is what you're saying. All right. Nick?
I'd give it almost better than sex, actually. I'm not quite there just yet. I didn't feel that much attachment to the characters, but this went above my expectations. I absolutely love it. So yeah,
better
really
than
hard.
sex? Are you, now, Nick? Are you sure you want to
almost better than sex? It's just
so you're saying to buy it? Then. So you're saying full price?
Oh yeah, yes. I'm just saying teensy weensy bit under better than sex. So.
Okay, full price. God damn, we got to make this complicated.
Shut up.
You'd think we would have figured this out by now. But,
hey, I'm defending the game. You guys are slagging it off because
everybody likes it. Come on now.
All right.
And Kevin.
Well, I say it's full price, but with the caveat that it's an adventure game. And so some people are going to be bored with this. They're going to be like, this is boring. I don't want to talk to people. I want to shoot people in the face. And, the game is not going to let you do that in a lot of cases. So, I think people need to know right off the bat that, we say Rockstar, it's kind of like Grand Theft Auto, but at the same time, it's nothing like Grand Theft Auto. It's a lot of just listening to people whine and moan about stuff, and you ask them questions, and then you wander around an apartment looking for crap on the floor. And, I mean, it's really slow and dull.
Kind of like what you
simplifying.
Kind of what you
as far as that looking for clues goes, you'll look at stuff and then it'll like tell you, because the controller will buzz and it'll vibrate. It'll tell you to look at something, and then it'll go, "No, just kidding. That's just a glass."
I'm about to say, that's no wonder Kevin's like complaining about this game. That's what Kevin does at home anyway. Just walk around, pick up stuff off the floor, walk around some more.
But picks up an empty beer bottle. This isn't helpful.
So before we end this, Jeff. And look, a professor all the way, he was telling us, schooling us on some of the things that they're saying that this game is starting to be used for, right?
Oh, well, it was an article that I read about an expert in Asperger's syndrome who said that people with Asperger's tend to believe everyone at face value, and that this might be a good kind of exercise because they're going to have to look into these realistic faces and basically decide whether people are telling the truth or lying.
Now I'm worried that I have Asperger's because of my poor performance in this game.
Tell me what I want to know, or I will have half the LAPD down here tearing this place apart.
This world is only temporary. I'm helping people be together.
If ever there was a time for extracting a confession, this was it!